Good evening, everyone. Hope you're doing well. Anyway, some good news for West Ham this weekend. Well, in terms of training, it's good news. We knew Maxwell Cornet was back. Kurt Zouma has been spotted in training as well. And the latest is that Lucas Paqueta is due back in training by the end of the week and could be available to face Forest at the weekend. So, all being well, David Moyes may have a full-strength squad to choose from, which would be remarkable, wouldn't it? Now, does that mean he will utilise them? Does it mean Cornet is available for selection, or if he's just back in training? I don't know. But the good thing is they're back in training anyway, and I'll take any positives I can at this point. By the way, thank you for joining me. If you are watching live, do get involved in the live chat. Any thoughts you've got on West Ham, get them in. Let's have a look at what you're all saying. It could be about David Moyes. Could be about other managers that you might fancy to replace David Moyes should the vacancy arrive. Could be about the Nottingham Forest game. It doesn't really matter. As long as it's West Ham related, get it into live chat and let's get your opinions on the screen and see what you guys are thinking. It's been a little while since I've done one of these, and you believe it or not, we get a little bit fed up doing the David Moyes stuff. It does get a bit tiring as well, but we can only react to the news. And the last 24 hours is just David Moyes stuff. So I thought I'll do something a bit different tonight. I'll do a live one, see what you lot are saying, and well, let's interact with you guys. Hello, Ollie. He says, who should West Ham fear in the Conference League? In all honesty, I haven't really paid attention to the first leg. I know, obviously, last week we had the first leg. This week, Thursday. Tomorrow night. Is it Wednesday? Is it Tuesday? It's Wednesday, isn't it? It's definitely Wednesday. Yeah, it's definitely Wednesday. I've lost my days here. Anyway, so tomorrow night we've got the second leg of the Conference League. So we'll find out who West Ham could potentially get. The draw is on Friday, and we will be live on Friday. So it's at noon. We'll get underway in a little while, but feel free to come along at noon Friday. Come back here and join us for the live chat and see the reaction. Jackie says, how are we coping? Well, I think we're coping as badly or as good as the rest of you. Colin Wood said, following Souček, good performance. Does Paqueta come in for downs and we remain 3-5-2? Well, we're doing our Forest preview tomorrow. And the one thing I will say is I think you have to pick the team accordingly for the opposition you're facing, in my opinion anyway. So that's sort of an indicator as to where I'm going. But I do think Souček's played quite well when called upon over the last few games. And I think he was one of our best players. I think arguably the best player against Spurs at the weekend as well. So let us know what you guys think, though. Max says Scamacca and Ings must start against Forest if Moyes wishes to keep his job. Mark would like to see Redknapp with Mark Noble as his assistant. Samuel says Redknapp was linked with the Leeds job. I mean, it's a bit late. They've got the manager now, Samuel. Avi Garcia's gone in there for the rest of the season. So anything you see being linked to the Leeds job, scrap it. It's not happening. Garcia is in there. Good evening, Craig. Who do I think should replace Moyes? It's difficult, isn't it? I don't know. I'm not keen on all the names. Let's put it that way. When I saw Rafa, like I said last night's video, short term, I could stomach it. But long term, it's not for me. I'm not at the point yet where anybody but Moyes. I'm not at that point yet. I do think there's bad appointments out there. They're not all guaranteed to be a success. There's no such thing. If it was guaranteed you win your next 3 games sacking David Moyes, then sure, go for it. But that's not a thing. You could easily sack Moyes and lose the next 3 if you don't get the appointment right. So it's not a guaranteed route to success. I can only really go by the names we're being linked to. The one that I'd be okay with, but again, I'm not really sure about him long term, is Hassan Hüttl, the former Southampton boss. I'm okay with that one, I guess. I think I'd be more inclined to just give Kevin Keane the job for a couple of games to see how he gets on whilst we look for somebody else. Harrison said it'll be 0-0 at the weekend and Moyes is going to keep his job. James says he has a theory that a new manager would win us the Conference League. If you had to bring a cup manager in, who would you bring in? I mean, to be fair, Rafa is a cup manager. That's what I will say about Rafa, James. As much as I don't like him, he is a cup manager. His CV speaks for himself. He did it with Chelsea, didn't he? When he was an interim manager, he went and won the Europa League there. He's won the UEFA Cup with Valencia and the La Liga. So he does win trophies. So fair play to that one. 10 men at the back, no one in attack. What a name that is. He says, good luck to the 18s. Correct, they're kicking off in a couple of hours. If you wish to watch it, you can do. It's via the FA Player website. It's completely free to watch. You do need to sign up. It's completely free to sign up. then you can watch the live stream there. Anyone over on Patreon, if you're watching this, you're a Hammers Chat Patreon, and this isn't me trying to get you to sign up because it's a bad time to sign up. Don't join Patreon tonight. Wait till the 1st of March. But if you are a patron, I've put all the details on there earlier today with the link where you can go get it. And then later tonight or tomorrow morning, I'll be doing a review of the under-18s game over on Patreon too. The draw for the Conference League is on Friday, Hammerhead. Kai said he had a dream that Ange was the next match. Was the next West Ham manager. I was quite depressed when he woke up. That would be my number one choice, like permanent replacement. Samuel said, would you take Redknapp back at West Ham till end of the season or Martin O'Neill? I mean, they've both been out the game for quite a while, haven't they? The thing is, I'm intrigued. The Redknapp one kind of intrigues me, but it's more out of romance than anything. Just pure, just like, what could happen? Let's find out kind of thing. That is what's luring me in. The O'Neill one, I'm not too sure on. KM says Moyes doesn't give a hoot about his job. Any manager worth his salt will play a more attacking lineup. James says, say we get relegated, what would Declan Rice's mindset be? Would he walk away from the club? Would he stay out of loyalty? He's gone. If we go down, he's going just for a little bit cheaper, regardless of what happens between us and between whatever happens for West Ham between now and then of the season, I think has no impact on what happens with Declan Rice this summer. Irish Tommy, do you think Moyes could survive a loss against Forest? I'd like to think not. I was actually quite like, yep, if we lose against Forest, I think he will go. A couple of my friends don't think so, and they've almost persuaded me that it won't happen. I think, this is me guessing, I've not heard anything to make that clear, because in the comments the last couple of days, some people have said, well, this is a bold claim. You know, I wasn't making any claims. It was newspaper reports. We were just discussing them. This is my own opinion. I think if we lose against Forest, I think Rafa gets a 3.5-year deal, or whatever it is he's after. If that's true, I think Rafa would get a big contract. Whatever Rafa wants, I think he would get. And then we would dismiss Moyes and Benitez would become the manager. That's my take on it, just reading the reports and whatever. Leo says, squad lineup for Forest, knowing that it could be Moyes' last one, 5-3-2, what I want to see. And I think it'll be the same back five, Rice, Downs, Lanzini, Bowen, and Antonio. How long until Cornet is fully ready? Well, I'm hoping he's ready to go now, Mikey. We're desperate. We've got to do it. You've got to go for it. It's desperate times. Christopher says if we got relegated but won the Europa Conference League, would we be the only non-top league team in the Europa League? I would imagine so. I guess it depends on... I'll be honest with you, Christopher. I'm not 100% sure on how other teams qualify, like how other leagues. So in the Dutch league, if you win the Dutch Cup, does it get that again Europa League? Possibly. So they could get... I don't know. I don't know. This is the answer, Christopher. Somebody smarter, more clued up than me might be able to answer that one. Stephen says, let's get Scamacca and Ings up front. Andy has written off Cornet. I was a bit like that, in all honesty. I was a bit the same. Adam says, thoughts on a rebuild? If we stay up with new owners, new managers, 6-7 players leaving, another shake-up, new captain. I know all that's happening, right? You're not incorrect there to some extent. It depends on the ownership. But in theory, that could happen. It's wild, isn't it? That's a huge job. That's a big job. Anyway. The Belgian manager just left is, what's his name? Martinez. He's got a new job, though. Is he Portugal manager now? Is Roberto Martinez the Portugal manager? I've got in my head he's going to Portugal. He's got a new job anyway. Somehow the geezer keeps getting jobs, but anyway, I think it is. Again, someone more clued up will confirm in the live chat. Right, let me just scroll through the live chat a little bit. Gravy says, what Liverpool players for your FPL team? I've been doing okay on Fantasy League this year. I've been trying to take it serious, because we've got the Patrons League. I thought, well, I kind of owe it to them, and I've been doing all right. I've gone and got Salah in. I've got rid of De Bruyne and got Salah in, and I'm debating getting Alexander-Arnold, I think, and there's a temptation to get Nunez, but they've got quite a few options now with Gakpo and Jota back too, so he might not start both games, but he has been looking quite good. So Salah, Trent, and probably Nunez if you want a third one. Juicy P says Scamacca and Ings in the middle, Antonio and Bowen on the wings. I mean, that's throwing the kitchen sink out of it. That's going for it, isn't it? Collingwood says Renat's been out for a while. We might get him on a short term compared with any other potentials. The good thing is, right, if Redknapp got back, we actually were able to speak to Redknapp now through Hammer's chat, thankfully. And he's really, really nice, actually. He's going to come on our transfer deadline day show as well, but he had like a paid gig come up, so he obviously prioritized that, so he couldn't come on. But he basically said, like, I owe you one. I'm sorry to let you down. I mean, he's doing us a favor. He's like, I'm sorry to let you down. Let me know if you need me in future. So we've kept that in the back pocket. So maybe if Moyes gets sacked, we'll get him on and say, Harry, do you want the job? But I won't do it while Moyes is still the job. It's not something I'd feel comfortable doing. Jonathan says, not sure why people want managers who've been out the game and are older than Moyes. I'll tell you why, Jonathan, because I don't think they want them. I can't speak for them, but I'm kind of going to. I don't think they want these managers. I think they know that is the pool of managers that we will be recruiting from, unemployed, and Sullivan has to have heard of them. There's not that many. So when people are saying Redknapp and Martin O'Neill, it's not because they want Redknapp and Martin O'Neill. I think it's because they know the reality is that is the shortlist that David Sullivan will be picking from. That's my opinion anyway. Taz says, Noble one says they want to bring in some of the under-18s, but when it was not confirmed. He did say, Taz, he did also say it's a 5-year plan, which makes sense. You know, they're 17 at the minute. Lewis offer, take prime example, sign a professional contract, 17 years old, give it 5 years, he's 22. That's the rough age for breaking into the first team in the Premier League, unless you are special, unless you are a one-off talent, like Declan Rice. But you look at Ben Johnson, he's 23 now, he's in the first team. He's not a first team player, is he? That's the type of progress they are. You look at Connor Coventry, 22 possibly, going out on loan. So I get what Noble's trying to say. I do think that. No, I didn't watch the Champions League game yesterday. Leo messed up. I went to the theatre. I forgot the Champions League was on and said, let's go to the theatre that night. And as Tuesday came around, I saw the Champions League was on. I thought, I've messed right up here. But I'll have the Man City game on in the background tonight, but I'll be watching the West Ham taking on Ipswich. So laptop, TV job tonight, dual gaming. So anyway, we'll have a little look. Jay says, I think West Ham United, Rafa Benitez, we need them. James says there's a mention of Nuno Sullivan trying to get him. What I will say, James, I don't believe it. I can't prove this. Again, this is just an opinion. But whenever there's a vacancy in the Premier League, and I mean any vacancy, Southampton, Leeds recently, Everton, whenever there's a vacancy comes up, Nuno is just linked to those jobs. I genuinely think they've just forgot he's got a job presently. Because it's in Saudi Arabia, he's just constantly one of the favourites. And I think it's just laziness, lazy journalism, and I think it's lazy bookmakers just saying, it might be Nuno, just whack him that 4-1 or something just in case. You know, 6 million is apparently it's 6 million to get him out of his contract. That's not happening. Nobody is paying that. Graham Potter was 10 million, wasn't he? 10 million for Graham Potter. That's it. 10 million. You're getting the manager who was highly sought after at the time. No one's paying 6 million for a guy that massively flopped at Spurs and struggled at the end at Wolves. It's not happening. I'd be shocked if he came. The only way it can happen is if Nuno rips up his contract himself and disappears, a bit like what Pellegrini did, because Pellegrini was in China, wasn't he, when we were after him, and then he sort of got out of that contract somehow, and then he ended up at West Ham. So I don't believe the Nuno things at all. Rue says, I think we should give the backroom staff a couple of games if we get rid of Moyes, assuming they stayed. There's enough experience in there. I mean, there's plenty. But my mindset, Rue, is that if the manager fails, they all fail. I don't like it when... I think there's one or two exceptions, like especially for coaches that are there previously. So at the minute, we've got Xavi, the goalkeeping coach. He was there before David Moyes. So I understand why he would be retained. And I think the goalkeeping coach is a slightly different department anyway, because he's just not really going to have much say in terms of tactics, is he? He's not exactly suggesting how we play counter-attacking football. But my mindset is always that if Moyes fails and has to get the sack, sorry, but Warburton, Nevin, Nolan, you're off with him as well. You're all going, because if there's a possibility of them staying on, I don't like that. I think it almost creates like a stabbing in the back environment, speaking of Harry. And I don't like it. I think it's sort of like you've all got to be pulling in one direction. There's no fractions or anything like that. One goes, you all go, simple as that. But so away from that, like I said, Kevin Keane, wouldn't mind him getting a couple of games. Under 18s are absolutely smashing it at the minute. They play really good football. He'd be the one. If we needed a caretaker for a couple of games, he'd be the one would be hoping would get the role. Jonathan says our solution is the youth, but need the manager to get them involved, not wholesale, but here and they're hungry, hard-working players. Yeah, but my mindset is if Noble's got a 5-year plan, it won't include David Moyes at the end of it. It's not like anything disrespectful to David Moyes. The chances of any Premier League manager, bar a handful, of being in the job they are today in 5 years' time, it's not happening, is it? Let's take Dave Zebri smashing at Brighton. Do you think he'll be there in 5 years? I'm not convinced. There's a few. Thomas Frank, maybe. Pep, possibly. Anyone else? I don't know. Ten Hag. Yeah. I'll give you Ten Hag. But Conte? No. Klopp? Maybe, but he's going to have to turn it around. Brendan Rodgers? Don't think so. Patrick Vieira? I'd be surprised. So I always think Marco Silva, yes, if he wants to, but again, can Fulham hold on to him? His stock is rising. So I think to try and plan something for 5 years' time, I think you almost have to exclude the current Premier League manager. But you've got to make sure, though, if that is your genuine plan, if you were to sack David Moyes and go replace him, you've got to make sure that guy is aware of what the new philosophy is, which is to integrate these players into the first team. He's got to be aware of it and to continue it. There's no point getting somebody in that won't play the youngsters. That's why Ten Hag's a really good appointment at Man United. He did it with Ajax. He kept playing the youngsters from the academy from Ajax. Fine. So Man U, when they employed him, they knew Garnacho would then get an opportunity. They've got that other guy, what's his name, Pelestri. He would get an opportunity. Then, what's that midfielder? Zidane? Something. He would get a chance like that. They will get chances under Ten Hag. Anyway, don't know why I'm ranting about that, but there you go. Adam, I did hear Moose. I ignore Moose. Simon, do you agree if we stay up, win the European Conference League, Moyes should still go at the end of the season? Loads of things could change between now and the end of the season, but ask me now, yes. Ben, do you think we'll win the Conference League or at least get to final? Do you know the thing is though, Ben? Like, I was speaking to one of my friends the other day, and I've always been like adamant, like we're going to win the thing. But I don't mind saying it. And I said to him, I felt a bit stupid now. I feel a little bit naive for feeling like that all season. Yeah, we're going to win the Conference League. But then I thought, well, actually, I'm not going to apologize for believing we are going to win it, because we should be aiming to win it. Look at the squad. We've got a good team here. And the fact that I feel a little bit silly for thinking we're going to win it isn't a reflection on me. It's a reflection on the football club. So do I think we'll win it? Not anymore. I did, but not anymore. I'd imagine when that comes round and we're in the situation we're in today, which is lingering in the bottom three, I'd imagine it's going to get binned off pretty quickly. Sam Allardyce has spoken about in the past about how the board basically told him get rid of that cup competition and just make sure you finish in the Premier League. Make sure you get that TV money for next season, please. Joel says he agrees the backroom staff, the lot would have to go. Let's have a little look. Billy says put all the team ticket holders in a hat, pull one out, and give it to him. Hey, we've got some. Probably got some good managers in that season ticket list. I'm trying to think if I know any of them. Possibly not. Zach's asking what channel the under 18s are on. Zach, they're on the FA Player. I can't give you the link. I don't know how to do it. But if you Google it, it's there. They are being live streamed. It's free to watch, free to sign up, but you must sign up. Patrons, go check out the Patreon website. Ethan says, doesn't worry how much time Noble has during the week for the academy. Do you know something? I spoke about this the other day, Ethan, and when I first saw it, right, a couple of weeks ago in the Evening Standard, it said Noble's been training with the under 21s and the under 18s and the under 16s. And I thought, what the hell? So which other Premier League club has got a sporting director, technical director, football director, whatever you want to call them? They're all the same job, just different titles. Who else has got one of them having a kickabout with under-18s. And I just thought, what is going on here? I don't want Noble playing football. I want him sorting this crap out. You know, at the end of the day, traditionally, the sporting director would have a hand in hiring and firing the manager. There's been nothing to suggest Martin Noble's got a hand in David Moyes' future. Nothing whatsoever. There's been no mention of it anywhere. And perhaps that's not his responsibility, but it should be. And then this is where I was speaking to Gons about it, and we were saying, you know, David Sullivan's little black book of managers is pretty crap, isn't it? You know, it's the same people all the time, and they're fading out. Give it 10 years' time, Sullivan won't know any managers. They'd all be retired. But Martin Noble should know some. Or if he doesn't know them directly, Martin Noble should know people that know those managers. Now, he's got the slight disadvantage of only playing for West Ham. So previously, if you take someone like Peter Crouch, for example, someone that's played at various different clubs, his contact book would be fantastic. You want Steven? Yeah, I'll get you Steven Gerrard. You want someone from Stoke or wherever? Yeah, I've got that. You want someone from Villa? Yeah, I've got people that know him. Peter Crouch will know loads of people in the game, but Martin Noble will know lots of people. So whenever we're talking about managers, we speak about Ange from Celtic. Let's just take him, for example. Martin Noble will know somebody that's possibly played under him. He might be able to contact, say it was Michael Beale. Say we wanted Michael Beale as the next manager. Noble would be able to ring Steven Gerrard and say, can you put me in touch with Michael Beale, kind of thing. Noble's black book, when it comes to managers today, should actually be pretty decent. So if he's not involved, it's a little bit crazy. But in regards to the training thing, I thought it was bonkers. I thought it was absolutely bonkers, right? And then I listened to his podcast with Ben Foster when he was on the Fozcast, and he was explaining that he trains, because he was literally doing the podcast an hour before he was ready to do training. And he said in it, the reason I do it is because I want to get out on the pitch and I want to know all the players. I want to know who's good. He says, because you can only see and learn so much standing at the touchline. He said, but when you're on the pitch with them, you learn so much more about every single person. And he said, it's his duty now to know all the players' names from the under-12s all the way through. He wants to know every single player. He wants to know a lot about them, because his ideology, if you like, for the academy of football now is that they leave a better human being. You won't all make it as a player. You have to accept that. But if you can all leave West Ham as a better person, then it's job done as far as he's concerned in that regard. So I think he's trying to get more hands-on with the academy, which is all very well said and done. And I think it needs done. But I'm not sure that that's the right role. The sporting director, I don't think that's the right role to be doing it. That's, like I said, I think that should be, you know, the academy director or something like that. He should be doing it. He should be the one getting out there. Kenny Brown should be the one in charge of all this stuff, not Martin Noble. So it seems a little bit of a strange role, which we knew it was. We knew it was like a role created just for Martin Noble, but it's almost like they created it, gave him this title and took away half the responsibility. And it's a bit, I don't know how I feel about it, in all honesty. I think there's some good points, but I think there's some bad ones at the minute. But we'll have to give it a little bit of time. We can't judge him after he's literally been there a month and a half. You can't judge him after that. You've got to give him longer before you start trying to gauge if he's a good sporting director or not. But at the minute, it seems a little bit of a mishmash. Right, let's have a little look and see what you're all saying. We'll do another 5 minutes. Hi, Vinay. No, I'm not talking about Moyes. Well, I have spoken about Moyes, but this is a live chat. This is the show. I like to get your opinion. So if you want to talk about Moyes, get your opinion in. I'll get on the screen and we'll have a little read. But you can talk about anything that is West Ham related. Chris says Courtney is back so he can show off his talents to move away. Epiphany says, good on Noble. He's got another part of his job, but inspiring a youth team who are killing it in the division might get them all on board. I wasn't going to say this, right, but I have spoken to somebody involved with the under-18s, and there's a bit of a buzz about Martin Noble being involved. It sounds like there's a little bit of a buzz because Martin Noble's involved with the squad now. He's taken a big interest in the under-18s, under-21s, and I think it's gave them a bit of a belief that actually we've got a chance at West Ham now, where that belief previously wasn't there. So I do think, while as fans we might have an opinion, which we do, but there's another set of people with a different opinion, which is those involved. I say with the club, they're not. I don't want to say too much, but certainly there's a buzz now within that group because Martin Noble is at West Ham and he's trying to get the academy up and running a little bit better than it previously was. So it does have a different impact elsewhere. Like I said, as fans, we've got one opinion, but there's another group of people with a completely different opinion. And I promise you now, it's a good one. You have to, I say you have to believe me. I'm asking you to believe it here, but if you don't, you don't. Mark said, do you think there should be a clear the air meeting with all the players and staff similar to the one Anton told us about? I mean, the problem is what Mark's referring to. They got beat by Charlton. They got beat by Charlton because Pardue was Charlton manager and Kirbishley was the West Ham manager. So it was a bit of and they thumped West Ham. And this was the season where we stayed up last game of the season at Old Trafford. Just so it's Tevez season, that one. And basically, Anton said after the game they went in and Kirbishley was saying, we'll go again next week. We'll be better next week. And Anton basically said, F off. I'm fed up with this. You keep saying this. It's not getting any better, is it? He was crap. You need to tell them. And Kirbishley basically said, well, I think you were crap. So Anton said to Kirbishley, well, tell me then. Tell me I was crap. Tell me what I've done wrong. Rather than all this, we'll go again next week. Just come on. And then that week, Lucas Neal called a meeting, all the players. And then I think there was a coach went to go in or something, and Lucas Neal said, no, players only, and shut the door. So it was only the players in there. And Lucas Neal basically said to all the players, right, it's time to roll our sleeves up. We've got a battle in our hands. You've got to be 100% committed to West Ham. If you're not 100% committed, that's okay. But please let me know now, and I'll tell the gaffer that you're not available for selection anymore, because we only need people that's 100% committed. Then obviously that happened. And then they did something that Anton told a little story, which I really like, so I'll just repeat it. That's when Lucas Neal basically said to everybody, right, from now on, all your win bonuses, when we win a game and you get your win bonus, you've got to take in a certain percentage of your money, and I'm going to collect it, and I'm going to divvy up among all the staff. So fine, yep, no problem. But Anton said, he said to Lucas, then like, well, I don't have a problem with it, but why are you doing it? Like, what's the reason? And Lucas Neal said, look, if the groundsman's getting a little bit of money if you win, if the kit man is getting a little bit of money if the tea lady's getting a little bit of money, they're all going to up their game as well. You're going to have the best kit. That pitch is going to be sparkling. The training ground's going to be perfect. Grass is going to be perfect, ready for you to train on. He said, basically, everybody's going to up their standards. They're all going to benefit from you winning. So they're going to do everything they can to help you win. Then obviously the rest is history. We went on, had a really good second half of the season, stayed in the Premier League, and Sheffield United sued us. But yes, Mark, I'd imagine there's maybe been one or two. I have to say, when speaking of Mark Noble, listening to him on the Ben Foster podcast, he was saying he doesn't miss ringing people. He said he was ringing people 9 o'clock at night every night. Are you all right? Are you ready for training tomorrow? Got a big game. He was checking in on all the players all the time. He was shattered. He said it was just a 24/7 job. And I did listen to it, worrying a little bit, thinking, well, is Declan Rice doing this now? Is he ringing all the players and stuff? Is he doing his own thing? What's he doing that Mark Noble did, which gallivants the players, brings that togetherness? We'll never know. But anyway. Right, let me just skip a little bit. Hello, Paul. Nice to see you. Thanks for joining me. Keep your comments coming in. I'll give it a few more minutes. Peter says, you and I were ecstatic when Ings signed. Was he a Moyes signing? And will he integrate him into starting line? We'll find out this weekend, Peter. We'll find out this weekend. There's been reasons why he hasn't started so far. I accept them. I genuinely do accept them. Right, he's not fit enough to play. Right, fine. Nah, this weekend, come on. It's time now. You've got to get him into the team. If he's not starting, I'm going to be a little bit... I'm going to be disappointed if he's not starting. My opinion on Ings, it's still the same, in all honesty, Chris. I still think he's a really good player. I still think he's a really good Premier League striker. And I still think he can score the goals to get us out of this. I genuinely, hand on heart, still believe that. I hope he's starting on Saturday. If I could pick, if we get one chance on Saturday and I get to pick who it falls to, I'm picking Danny Ings. I think he's clinical. He's somebody that can turn an average cross into a good one just because of what he does at the end of it. So you give a bit like that cross Soufal gave Bowen against Chelsea. It was rubbish, right? It was like below head height, quite short. He ended up flicking on and Emerson scored. Bowen almost turned that one into a half decent cross. You know, seeing some people say it was a good cross by Soufal for Bowen. I thought, what? No, it wasn't. Bowen had to crouch and flick it on because there was nothing else he could do. It was a rubbish cross, but Bowen turned it into a good one. And I think Danny Ings can do that. You give him a crap cross, he's the type of striker that can actually bring it down, take a touch, and get a shot off, and puts it in the back of the net sometimes. So yeah, I think. Listen, I still think Danny Ings is a really good striker. It's an expensive gamble, but if we stay up, I think it's worth it because I'm confident he will have scored goals, which is contributed to us remaining in Premier League. We have a proven Premier League goal scorer at the club now. We've got one. Let's get him into the team. Gary, hello. Right, Liam, you're going to get me ranting. Right. If people want my rant about the 3 worst teams, I'm happy to do it, but it is a rant, okay? But if you want it, I'll do it, and then I'm going to disappear. Nicola says apparently Moyes will have the most amount of players fit. I think everybody's fit. Ionix is saying the same. Is Cornet fit to play? We'll have to wait and see. I hope so. False Flag says, Forest supporter, fan of the channel. Well, thank you. Buzzing for Saturday. Forest fans are all talking about going all out for an early goal. Any score predictions? Tune in tomorrow. Tomorrow's preview. I genuinely don't think. I don't have a prediction yet. Chris, yeah. I'm going all right, thanks. I need to email you, actually. I've been meaning to email you. So email me, will you? hammerschat@gmail.com. Please, Chris. Thank you. Jay says, do you think Sam Allardyce will keep? No, I couldn't think of anything. I'd rather have no manager. I don't want any. I'd rather have no manager than Sam Allardyce. Even if we stayed up, I think it would almost like stain us. Okay, it's not that bad, but it's just anyway. Vinny says, wish finals could be tried at the number 10. Yeah, I do as well, to be honest with you. I do. Daniel says, Bowen did nothing. We flicked it on. The only time I've mentioned Bowen was for the goal against Chelsea. He flicked it on. What do you mean he did nothing? He got the ball from Soufal and he flicked it on. If he didn't do that, we didn't score. Unless you're talking about Spurs, in which I agree. Well, actually, I disagree. I thought he had a good game. I don't know. Anyway, right. The last things I'm going to say. Yes, John, they kick off 7 o'clock. FA Player. You can go watch it. If you're a patron of Hammer Chat, go over to patreon.com/Hammer Chat. There's a post there on how you can watch the game live this evening. The last thing I'm going to do tonight then is have a mini rant. Thanks to Liam. 3 worst teams. Now, this is something I don't say. It's something Gonzo likes saying. Gonzo likes saying it, isn't it? I don't see any three worst teams in us. Don't see it. It's something I don't say and I won't say because it's bollocks. It is absolute nonsense, right? You asked me today to name 3 worst teams for West Ham. Well, I can't. Look at the league table. We're 3rd bottom. I'll give you Leeds United. But since their last game, they've just hired a new manager. So you say, well, you can't have Leeds. They've now got Garcia in charge. My point is, it changes every single week. 3 worst teams. It changes. 2 weeks ago, everybody would have said Southampton. Most of us would have said Bournemouth. Not many people were saying Leeds. Last week, it's Leeds and Southampton. Now Southampton have gone and won at Chelsea. Nobody would say so. Nobody will say Southampton. If I was to ask you now, who's the 3 worst teams in West Ham? No one's saying Southampton because they won a game. They still don't have a manager. But yet you won't pick them because they've just beat Chelsea. It changes every single week. It's the worst argument in the world for or against a team staying in the Premier League. I don't like it. I don't like it when people say, we'll be okay this season. There's 3 worst teams than us. I think, well, you don't know that. There's literally 15 games to go. You don't know who's going to be worse than us in that 15 games. You're guessing. And it's a dangerous thing to do. But also, people that say we're going to get relegated because there isn't 3 worst teams than us, I think, well, you don't know that, though. Garcia could be crap. Leeds could be one of the worst than us. Southampton, who have just buggered up their last managerial appointment, could also do this one really wrong. They're worse than us. Bournemouth, I'm sorry, but O'Neill is not a good manager. They've made some good appointments in January, yes, but I seen a Bournemouth fan describe it, and I quite liked it, so I'm going to nick it. He said, we've now got Ferraris, but we've got a driver who doesn't have a driver's license. I thought it was a fantastic analogy. So that's Bournemouth fans. Look at Wolves. Wolves now, they haven't had a striker score for the last 12 months. One calendar year since their last striker scored a goal. You know, so this whole thing, 3 worst teams than us, it's not a thing. It's just It changes every single week. It just changes all the time. That's why when Gonzo does it, I smile, because he changes every week as well. He says one week he'll say, well, I think these two are. Next week he's saying, well, this one is. Next week he'll say, I don't know. Like, yeah, no, because it changes all the time. Anyway, this time in 3 weeks, Garcia will be up and running at Leeds. Southampton have a new manager. Bournemouth might have a new man. I mean, West Ham might have a new manager. Dyche will be up and running at Everton. It's impossible. It's impossible to call. I don't like it as an argument. I don't like it as an argument. Oh, look, we've got a Tottenham fan. West spam. I mean, if you're going to insult us, right, the worst thing is to comment in the live chat. You have to have been a subscriber for 5 minutes or more to deter trolls like that one. That person has created an account, subscribed, and he's literally sat watching this video about West Ham for 5 minutes just to call us West spam. I mean, if you're going to sit around for 5 minutes and slag off West Ham, there's a million ways you could do it. But calling us West spam is possibly... what a waste of 5 minutes. Mate, just go outside. Go for a walk. Read a book. Go watch your highlights from Sunday's game or something. Just do something. But just spend 5 minutes to call us West spam. I don't know. I don't know what the world's coming to. Maybe it's just me, but I'm just surprised that people have this much time on their hands and they think it's fun just to go West spam, get battered. What an achievement. Fucking hell, son. Put that on your CV. I'm sure you'll get a job somewhere. Well, once I went on Hammer's Chat stream, waited 5 minutes just to call them West spam. It's an achievement. I think the Scottish one at Hammer's Chat might even give me a character reference off the back of that, because I had them all rattled in the live chat. They were all upset with my insult. Anyway, I'm gonna disappear. There you go. I'm gonna disappear now. It's good to see everybody having a laugh. And Christopher, maybe that's a nice one. Typical Samsung user. That was funny. Anyway, right, I'm gonna disappear. We'll be back tomorrow with our Nottingham Forest preview. We're recording it tomorrow. I'm really looking forward to it, actually. And then on Friday we'll have the live draw, 12 o'clock noon. We'll be here with live. We're not doing the live draw. We're reacting to the live. It's a live watch along of the Europa Conference League draw. But anyway, under 18s are kicking off at 7 o'clock. Give them a watch, and fingers crossed the boys can get a win. Catch you in a bit.